Thanks for tuning in again to Answers with Andrew. This is a short video series that I'm doing from my law office here in downtown Akron, Ohio, to talk about issues that come up again and again in the areas of law that I practice, which are estate planning, estate and trust administration, corporate law or business law for the closely held business owner, as well as real estate, both residential and commercial. Today, I'd like to tackle a question, and that's what I'm trying to do, is tackle issues that come up to help people plan for the future in just a few minutes, 3 to 5 minute videos. And the issue I'd like to talk about is how many properties should I hold in one LLC if I have investment or rental properties? This is one that I get asked a lot, and I get clients that have walked in that think they need to put every property in a different LLC because someone has told them that. I also get clients that have walked in. I had a guy come in one time with 25 or 30 properties in one LLC, probably close to $2 million worth of real estate. It was almost all of his net worth in this one LLC. And so this is a good topic to discuss and talk through because a lot of people own real estate and there are different types of investments. And so I've drawn a picture again, and I'm going to go to that now and just talk about this issue a little bit. But this is an asset protection question, right? First thing that I want to say is a little asterisk up on the right? You still need good insurance. Just because we're talking about limited liability companies doesn't mean that if you have your property in an LLC that you should stop insuring or you shouldn't have lost dwelling and umbrella coverage. This is an important aspect of owning both property that you live in as well as investment property. So in my hypothetical situation, I've got Bob's Rentals LLC. He comes in. He's an imaginary person, of course. I'm not talking about any real clients, but he comes in and he says, hey, I've got 9 properties in this one LLC. And I start talking to him about the properties, learning that the 3 on the left are all college rentals. The 3 in the middle are all single family rentals, but they're sub $100,000 in value. And then the 3 on the right are over $100,000 in value. So he's got these all lumped together, and he's asking me, is it okay that I have these 9 properties worth roughly $1.2 million in this single LLC? And a lot of times the approach that I'll take is talking about separating based off value and risk. And so I just think this is a good common sense way to approach it. I don't believe you need to put every property in a different LLC. Some people need to do that in order to be able to sleep at night, and that's fine. Everybody has a different threshold for risk that they're comfortable with. But with asset protection questions, often I'm just trying to look at how can I frustrate potentially future claims that a creditor might bring against my client in order to protect and conserve their assets. So obviously those college houses on the left, right? I mean, we all know that college kids do dumb stuff. And so I'm going to grab those 3 and I'm going to stick them in, this B1 LLC for college houses down here. Then I'm going to take his lesser valuable houses in the middle, right? So the first separation was done based off risk, because I think it's more likely that college kids are going to get hurt or have a claim. The second separation that I'm doing here is just the lower value houses. I'm sticking those 3 down in the under 100,000 houses, the B2 LLC. And then I'm going to take, maybe he's got farm property or property and outside of Akron in a more high net worth area like a Hudson or a Green or Stowe, and I'm going to take those rental properties that are maybe $200,000-$300,000 properties or more, and I'm going to stick them over in the B3 LLC. And so often, and there are also ways I will say that we can set these up to where we may not have to file multiple tax returns. This is often an issue to work through with the accountant who's involved, but there are ways that we can have the subsidiary or the B1, B2, B3 LLCs wholly owned by the Bob's Rentals LLC so that they are flow-through entities, and ultimately we may still be able to get away with filing a single LLC return, tax return, and not having to file multiple tax returns. So we try to look at minimizing, risk, but also administrative costs and taxes. And so often when I'm looking at LLCs holding assets of risk or investment properties, I am looking at separating them based off value and risk. Still need to have good insurance, still need to do common sense things like sign our lead-based paint disclosures and make sure that we have our lease agreements up to date, fire alarms, things that are required by city ordinance, need to be practicing good common sense ethical management. But then we want to have good insurance, and then we want to have our assets not all lumped into one LLC. Why? Because if we had a claim come against us and we had all of those houses up in the top LLC, the Bob's Rentals LLC, there's a chance that if the claim were to go through, we would lose a lawsuit or have to settle, and the amount would be above our insurance coverage, that we could lose all the properties out of there. And that's what we're trying to frustrate. We're trying to stop that from happening. And so this is how I tend to look at asset protection as it relates to how many properties should we have in one LLC. I hope this has been a helpful video to you, and thanks so much for tuning in.